Well, I think we could actually come to order. It's after 6, and we have a quorum.
We do.
So the first order of business on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the November 12th meeting. Could I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
And a second?
I seconded.
Thank you. Are there any corrections anyone seeing? Hearing none. We do this by roll call. I'll start. Lee, aye. Ed?
Hands aye.
Dennis?
Sheedy, aye.
Amanda?
Morella, aye.
Greg?
Range aye.
Meredith?
Each eye.
Okay, Meredith, it's, don't take offense, you're just last on my screen.
I blasted on yours?
No, you're last on the screen.
You're
Oh,
last on the
oh.
screen. That's why
No,
you're
no
last.
But
Yeah.
first in his heart.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is CPC business projects. And we have a draft application template. Thank you, Wayne. That was the letter that you put forward and the process.
Yes, so I'm sort of feeling my way through how we are hoping that this will all unfold. Excuse me. And in our previous conversations, we discussed this timeline, which I tried to monument at the beginning of this as a way to orient folks, outside of the CPC. And the idea being a very quick, basic letter of interest from which folks could get some guidance and feedback from staff, and the CPC themselves at a following meeting would then consider it and invite actual applications. And that would allow us to, let folks know that, their concept might need more development, or, go ahead and apply. And then we'd get preliminary applications, which, I still need to draft up what that would look like. And then a meeting of the CPC for a full application. And one of the things I'm trying to get at with this process, I think we're all trying to get at, is actual meaningful feedback and guidance, so that we can get better applications, and therefore more successful projects. And as folks remember from previous conversations, one of the tensions we're trying to solve for is there could well be, several very competent large entities who have the experience to, produce really full, complete, detailed applications. But then we also have any number of grassroots local volunteers, and we want to make sure that we can support them in the process, and actually respond to these local volunteers with these more homespun projects, and make sure they actually perform well as well. So this letter of interest idea is, and I think I mentioned this in a previous meeting, is pretty clearly cribbed directly from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. They have these survey and planning grants, and they invite a letter of interest, and from that pool, they decide which ones seem the most worthy or competitive or productive, and invite actual applications from those. So it seems like a good way to make contact. So I think we're looking at sort of discussing and fine tuning this draft letter of interest, publicizing it, in the next couple of weeks. And I think Stephanie's been putting a little thought on, how we could do that, and then get them in by, in time for our March meeting, at which this group could, get a little update of what's going on. Then at the April meeting, invite, these more detailed preliminary applications. And then I think, one thing we talked about and agreed on is that, especially for some of these more, homespun grassroots, local projects, we may want to fund for, 2 years, a modest grant at the beginning so that they can actually get together, plans or specifications or a budget, and get their planning in order so that they can actually apply for whatever their construction project is. So, how we sort of capture that in this letter, we could put in an additional line specifically mentioning that. So, that's kind of my thinking behind this, and, suggestions or clarifications, absolutely welcome.
One thing I don't know if we should put it in or not, but a statement, very brief statement about the benefit of or the expectation of matching funds. That is in the materials that are online, and but the application, being brief, doesn't say anything about it.
Yeah, there's I have a line in there, I think, on the total project cost, the CPA amount, and then the amount and source of whatever matching funds. And I think I reference it in the sort of introductory couple of paragraphs above, but I'm hearing we could strengthen that.
What did people think? That was my only, I thought it was a great job, but I just wondered if that was appropriate in that particular instrument or not.
I think that is something you should put in there, just a line along the wording of matching grants are encouraged or something like that. That's a plus. I also thought it was a great job, but I sent Wayne an email this afternoon, not realizing he was in the wilderness. Yeah. Now, is that in case the town government gets stormed on the 20th, your mobile location?
Perish the thought. No, this was a pre-scheduled long weekend away.
So the one thing I'd like to see added is that planning grants are something that are covered under CPA funding.
Okay.
And I think whether we require that for a big project or a small project, I think making it clear that it's something we can fund is important. Other than that, I thought it was a great letter.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I
Yeah,
d-
so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I would just, planning grants for eligible projects are, are CPA fundable.
Right.
Or whatever exactly else you said there.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I said it in less succinct wording in my letter. That's
okay.
multiple projects. Yeah.
And then on the application, the letter of interest, items 1 through 6, Wayne, I think we should add the checklist of the eligible categories, eligible project categories.
Maybe. I deliberately didn't put it in there because, well, for 2 reasons. One, I referenced it in the intro sort of paragraph, and then there's a line for them to check off which one it is. And my concern was I didn't want to like have it too wordy.
Oh, never mind. I see it.
Oh,
never
okay. Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no, sorry.
And then I imagine once this thing gets finalized and stuck up on the town website, where I reference other plans, those would be live links. You could actually click on them and see the CPA master plan for, the 5-year plan, the open space plan, the historic plan. And sort of, and it's like hard to put this in actual words, but what I really want from this is so people can like think through what they're actually applying for, and then we have a conversation with them. What is it you're trying to accomplish? And, I think that would be really useful for some of the more grassroots potential projects. And, we've seen that, some, and to Ed's point, some projects or entities or properties have really benefited from these plans. The Oaks Ames Hall has this plan, which they've been, working towards. Town Hall did one as well. So even, pretty large and very, sort of professional projects can benefit from it. But my real hope with these sort of planning grants is you can just give a modest amount of money to help these grassroots volunteer organizations really put together and focus what it is they're trying to do and get that clear so that they have a project that can really execute well.
It speaks to Greg's interest in having well thought through and developed plans, particularly construction plans.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Because I think the sort of default had always been, get your contractor estimates or bids or something, but we're seeing that those can be quite loosey-goosey and they don't actually match up with each other, and they can be really hard to read through and figure out what they're trying to do. And as we've seen, hard to actually monitor when the work is happening. So yeah, some groups could really benefit from that.
So what are people's thoughts? Are you comfortable with those few little tweaks and we go ahead with that?
I think it's good.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure, and it's not a commentary on the tremendous work that you've done, Wayne. I just want to make sure that we're always mindful to never make the process seem overwhelming, so that, just an individual who comes up with an idea and they want to do a CPA project isn't feeling that the process and I know we're trying to work towards that. I'm just being a sounding bell here, just as a reminder to say, let's make sure we always make it user-friendly and welcoming to even a small, just an individual who wants to do a project.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I'm really trying to get at with starting with this letter of interest, keeping it very simple and basic. And from that, let's have a conversation.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. I appreciate the work you've done on it, Wayne.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's a go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm hearing I will clarify a statement about or emphasize more about matching funds and other funding sources being greatly encouraged, and have probably a standalone line in the introductory stuff about modest planning grants being available for CPA eligible work.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then from this, I guess, what is our next thing to talk about? The how we put this out in the world.
Outreach and communication is the next item. Yes.
Yeah.
And timing goes along with that. So again, we were looking at this for fiscal year 23, meaning town meeting 2022, which is over a year away. But at the same time, the whole idea is to get people to start.
Process will take that long, yes.
Yeah, have it take the appropriate amount of time and get so that the end product is a good one. Wayne mentioned, I had some ideas. We have our typical posted on the website, social media, sharing and that type of thing. I also thought that maybe we want to do a press release, kind of a little story that talks about how, the process after, years of going through and seeing how things worked and where improvements could be made, that we've revamped the process, and the emphasis can be on making it more accessible for people who might not be familiar. And this is not exactly how we'd word it, but more familiar and encouraging them to work with us so that they can bring good projects forward. And in that press release, we could also talk about the amount of money that the town has put forth in CPA funds, and at least highlight one project from each of the categories, successful projects that have been advanced and completed. And then, of course, wrap it up with, here's how to get in touch with us and start the process.
Good. Excellent.
Is there, and we sort of go back and forth on this, and by mentioning it, I think I'm probably condemning like me and Stephanie. The sort of the ECAT conversation, have we found that that's a successful outreach in the past? Where they do like sort of the interview and we talk about it. Do people actually watch that? Is that a good way to get information out? Have we found, or do we not really know?
I'm not sure that we know, but the plus on ECAT is that something like that tends to be repeated, so it's more than a one-off article in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what Wayne and I could work on is maybe putting a storyboard together. And again, he and I did one just before town meeting 2 years ago, I think it was.
Right, yeah.
I think it's really important, and it really resonates more with people if members of the committee participate in that and probably play a lead role and staff play kind of a lesser role.
It would be really great if a video that was created could be shared on social media. That's the best way to get information out quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
Great, yeah, yep.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
And so we'd be looking to get this. And then I think Stephanie can probably chat a little bit more with me offline, but backwards planning, we're looking to have these by what, Thursday, March 11. So we'd want to give people at least a month. So we probably want to get this out the door in the next 2 weeks, really, sort of like, early to mid February. We could get this letter up pretty quick, but then the other stuff would take a little more lead time.
Okay.
I think, if that makes sense.
All right. So let me ask a specific question. Who would like to be involved with this aspect of the project? And I guess the other issue is, how do we go about it with the town office closed? Is this going to be done online?
Yeah, if you're talking about ECAT, yes. In fact, I don't know, I was a guest on Priscilla Almquist's, I can't remember the name of her little group. It's kind of like an About Easton, her little show. And we did it over Zoom. And I've seen other programs. I know she's been doing them with some people from around town. And Greg, we did one, right? For the zoning? You're very quiet tonight, Greg.
He's muted.
Oh, I just love talking process. It's so enthralling.
Right there with you, man. Yeah, so I think everything else can be done pretty easily remotely, and then it's just a matter of scheduling with ECAT, how they want to set up the virtual or Zoom or whatever platform they use and to record.
Okay.
And who the entities would be. And so for that, a work product ahead of that would be some sort of storyboard, probably, and Stephanie and I can talk a bit more about this, but probably riffing off of the one we did before town meeting a year or two ago, highlighting significant projects and all the good things that CPA has done for the town.
Okay. All right. I'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
But I think another 1 or 2 people would be helpful too.
I can help in any capacity you need.
Thanks, Meredith.
Yeah, as Stephanie, I think, just mentioned, this always, the communication seems to be better and heard better when it's, resident volunteers leading the conversation. That's tremendous. Thanks.
Okay. All right. And liaison role discussion. Is there anything new?
I think we had in the minutes that Amanda volunteered to draft a job description.
And promptly forgot about it until I read it in the minutes earlier today. So it is now written on the to-do list, which means it has a much greater chance of getting done.
We'll move it to the next meeting. That's fine. And Stephanie, you had a project, intern project that you wanted to bring to the board.
Well, this was a suggestion that came to me through Ed. Ed, do you want to talk about it? You do a better job than I will.
Yeah, I want to make it clear, this was something Stephanie came up with after I shared with her the idea that the Historical Society is trying to establish an internship program where I'm looking at Amanda. This is partly because of your daughter and her friend, who were so successful in putting together a book of the earliest photographs of Easton. We also had a girl, Samantha Stretson, who rebuilt our website, but also got interested in this idea of an internship where students could actually do original research, not the kind of papers you do in school, but original. So we've come up with 3 projects for the coming year. We solicited students. The deadline is coming up after midterms. And we already have kids that have expressed interest. One of them I shared with Wayne, because it's something we talked about a few years ago, which is signage for the town offices, which is, as he keeps pointing out, the most visited historical building in Easton. And we do know a lot about how the rooms were used and all of that sort of stuff. So that would be a project. Another project would be an architectural study of Oaks Ames Memorial Hall based on the huge architectural study that we funded a few years ago, and that would probably lead to a video. And then the third one would be a connection between the historic nature of the shovel shop and the way that it was developed currently. So those would be the 3 projects for this year. Stephanie then came up with the idea that it might be nice to give an honorarium to the students, a small honorarium from our administrative funds.
So define small.
A couple of $100 a piece.
Okay. And you're talking about up to 3?
Yes, up to 3.
All right. Do you want to make that a motion? So we can discuss it?
Yes, I'll move that.
Okay. I have a second, please.
Second.
All right. So we have the proposal to have stipends for students that will be doing historical documentation projects relative to assets in the town, particularly those that the CPC have in the past funded.
Just speaking up for the South Side, don't forget that part of town.
No,
I couldn't help myself, Ed, I'm sorry.
no, I agree with you 100%, as you know, and we're hoping to make this a multi-year project. And these were just the one that I was really excited about actually was the signage at the town hall. Fred at Oaks Ames has already said that he would help out in any way possible because he thought it would help publicize the needs of the hall. And then the other one was, it's in our backyard. We were looking out the window of the railroad station and there it was, the shovel shop. So yeah, there's definitely stuff coming for Southeastern and Furnace Village. And so we'll keep that in mind.
We have a project at the barn, so perhaps something about the barn.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, let's throw some more money that way. We haven't wasted enough.
Okay, we need to vote on this. Are we ready? Hearing nothing else, Lee, aye.
Hands, aye.
Dennis,
GDI.
Amanda,
Varela, aye.
Greg,
Strange eye.
and Meredith.
Each eye.
Okay,
And for clarification in the minutes, I heard a motion from Hans, a second from Varela, for a $200 honorarium for each of 3 interns, up to a total of $600.
I think we should call them volunteers.
Volunteers.
Volunteers,
Interns
yeah,
have to be paid.
right.
So it's an honorarium for each of 3 volunteers. Student volunteers?
Student volunteers.
Student volunteers, okay.
They're going to be, right now, it looks like they're going to be juniors going into their senior year, but it could be sophomores going into their junior year as well.
Cool. A $200
Did you get-
honorarium for each of 3 student volunteers, up to a total of $600 to be paid out of CPA administrative funds.
Yes.
that's right.
Okay. Thank
Just
you.
like student athletes, could we call them student historians?
Sure.
Would you mind
Actually,
reading
like
that one more time, Wayne, please?
Oh, sure thing.
Unless, Wayne, have you written it down? Because you could send it to Tish.
I have. It's a $200 honorarium for each of 3 student volunteers, up to a total of $600 to be paid out of CPA administrative funds. With a motion
Student
from
historian.
student historian. Do we like student historians?
Why not?
Student volunteer historians. Student volunteer historians. Okay, student volunteer historians. $200 honorarium for each of 3 student volunteer historians, up to a total of $600 to be paid out of CPA administrative funds. Motion by Hand, second by Varela. Unanimous roll call vote in support.
Okay, all right. A couple of things we need clarification on. John Ventrusco has informed us that he cannot make 6 o'clock on the second Thursday. He could make, I believe, I recall 6:45. Is that what he wrote?
Oh, hold on, I have it right here. Let's see. No, he can't do 6:45. He has a 5:45 that lasts an hour. He's able to make it when the meeting's at 7 o'clock in the old schedule of the 3rd Thursday.
Is that 7 o'clock on the 3rd Thursday, or could he make 6 o'clock on the 3rd Thursday?
He could do 6 o'clock on the 3rd Thursday, but that, for what it's worth, conflicts with a standing appointment I have.
Oh, that's right.
If
Yep.
I'm on.
So are we amenable to?
But he says even 6:45 would help if the current schedule was kept. So he's asking for going back to 7 o'clock on the second Thursday, or 6:45 at the earliest, or going to the 3rd Thursday.
Well, I think the 3rd Thursday is out. We need to have you available. So is 7 o'clock amenable?
Well, I know 2 people who don't think that's a great idea, but it's not me. I don't care.
Doesn't matter to me. I don't even, my brain doesn't even function in those terms anymore of second and third of the month. It's just day by day at this point.
Are all blending together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes,
I'm
my
flexible.
calendar is remarkably empty these last 10 months, so I'm pretty much, if it's after work hours, I'm good.
Same.
Okay. Is that anybody else?
I sit down here in the basement. Matters not if it's 6:30 or 7.
That's the definition of a troll? I don't know. I think we are all that way. Okay, the other issue is that after our meeting agenda was posted, I received information that there are 2 different projects that may come to us. They're still in the formation stages and discussion stages, but we've seen them before. One relates to agricultural restriction on property in town. That would be funding the development rights for the owners. And the other is the land acquisition. So I'm just kind of warning you that at our next meeting, we will be in executive session for part of that meeting. And if you have any, well, enough said. We are at the end of our agenda. Is there other business that anyone has that needs to be discussed? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Lee, aye. Ed?
hands eye.
Yes.
DDI.
Amanda?
Umbrella, aye.
Greg? You're on mute, Greg.
Strange eye.
And Meredith.
Each eye.
Thank you very much. Stay well, everyone.
Thank
Night.
you. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.